Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the Fish Room. My name is Travis and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to do an update on the 300-gallon reef, show you some breakdown progress of it so far. Since we're about, 50 days out from the move, I'm going to show you guys the frag tanks. We're going to talk about the coral sale, prices of coral going back to normal at some point here in the future. And yeah, just kind of give you guys an update since, again, we're like 50 days out and there's a ton of stuff going on. And yes, I do understand the only videos that I've been uploading over the last couple months have been pretty much updates like this. But that's really all I have time for at the moment, and there's no reason to sugarcoat it for you guys. I don't have time to make content. There's a ton of stuff going on. You know, the coral business is just a small aspect of the overall business, and yeah, it's just yeah, it's just me. So it takes some time to create content. But don't worry, it will go back to normal once the moving progress starts, because I have a ton of stuff to show you guys, and I'm looking forward to actually doing that. So, anyways, 300-gallon reef. It's looking a little empty. Now, I say that because I removed a bunch of the colonies at the bottom of the tank. Now, I relocated them over here in the 300, so I have some over here, or sorry, the low boys, and then I put them on these discs here. Now, the reason why I create these discs is because when I break down tanks, and I have broken down tanks in the past, like the 125, and there's a couple other tanks, I tend to oversell a coral, so I try to avoid doing that. So what I mean by that is I will say I have, you know, 100 frags of green slimer. I'll sell 101 of them and be like, crap, and I got to refund somebody, and I don't have a frag to move on to the new setup. So I try to save that colony early on, save a frag, and at least have that for myself just in case. So it's just a lesson learned. I've lost a lot of acros in the past and a lot of unique corals because I oversold them. And yeah, so we're not doing that anymore. Anyways, so with that, I freed up a lot of real estate on the bottom of the tank. Now, over the last couple weeks, I've done several water changes, just trying to get detritus up, getting some of these zoas up, and just getting in some of the dead pockets where there's dead frags or corals that have broken off during the process, and there's just detritus buildup. I'm trying to get in here slowly to remove as much of that as possible, just to cut down on the excess nutrients. I've had a little bit of excess over the last few months just because of, you know, all the changes and removing fish and not, you know, just adding other fish, and just there's just been a lot of changes to the tank. So getting a few major water changes in there to help kind of clean everything up has been pretty helpful, especially for stabilizing the alkalinity. And yeah, outside of that, everything is doing pretty well. I haven't had any major death other than dropping colonies in the lobo here, having some of them knocked in there by snails and fish and stuff like that. Other than that, corals are pretty decent, pretty happy. You know, there's occasional warfare here, you know, that whatever it is called, I can't remember the name of the top of my head. Whatever acro that is there, it will come to me once I end the video. But he's getting chewed up by one of the Montipora. So other than just kind of general coral warfare, there hasn't been any major deaths in the tank. And surprisingly, given how many frags I'm cutting on a weekly basis, I am burning through a ton of calcium reactor media, which I have to kind of fill up. Look how empty this thing is. Look at, so this is, yeah, it's less than half. I got a little bit left here, so I have to get some more media. Thankfully, my calc reactor, I am using the Avast calc Avast Marine Works calc stirrer here, and I'm using their calc washer. So that stuff is pretty much taking care of the tank because I am kind of lacking on my reborn media, which again, I'll order some of that from Geo here later in the week and fill that thing back up. But yeah, other than that, everything is doing pretty good. Fish aggression wise, I haven't had to remove any fish in a while, thankfully. So no one has been killed, which is good. Granted, when we started removing colonies and cutting a lot of this tank up, Big Blue here was really aggressive and taking out some of my fish, killed off one of my yellow tangs, Atlantic blue tang, and just kind of been a brute. Now, I did relocate a couple fish over here, and for aggression purposes, and they're doing pretty good. So yeah, and there's another guy over here, smaller tang, and yeah, they're doing good. So yeah, I guess speaking of fish, am I going to keep these fish in the 300 or the 700? I know I answered this before. Most of these guys are going into the 700 just because they're already very large, and I want to give them more space to swim. And they're old fish too. This guy's over 10 years old. They're just older fish, and I really want to start off, when I make the 300 again, I really want to start off with really small tanks and just kind of do what I did with these guys, and of course not add a giant eel that's going to eat half of them. That's a lesson learned on that as well, but that's a later video. If you guys haven't seen that, a massive eel that came in here, I adopted him, he's in a rough spot, and then he ate half of my fish. Cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. It's really rough. So anyways, yeah, so outside of that, the 300 is doing really well, and just getting in here and cutting up coral every single week, and hopefully not overcutting, because there is a fine line between making sure the tank is stable and having enough corals for orders. So with that being said, speaking of coral orders, the sale for the 300 gallon right now, everything is pretty cheap. It's about 15-20 bucks for frags. That sale is going to go on until the end of the month. So September 1st, coral prices are going to go back to normal. With that, I've also made some changes to my shipping. I went ahead and bought the Uline shipping boxing kits, because what's crazy is I've been shipping coral for about 8 years now, and up until like the last 6 months to 8 months, maybe a yearish probably, I've been running into some issues with the boxes just being completely destroyed during shipping, just for no reason, just destroyed. And one thing, if you guys don't know about me, I don't like to waste money, and I don't like to waste boxes, and I like to do things to kind of keep the prices low. So one thing I've been doing over the last 8 years is I've been making my own shipping boxes up to like last week, or the week before. And that entails me going to Home Depot, buying a bunch of foam, buying boxes on eBay, making inserts for those boxes, and making them, you know, to the best of my ability. And again, 9 out of 10 shipments have always been good. There's no issues. But I'm seeing more and more lately that those boxes are getting completely destroyed. I don't know if they're getting tossed off a building on the way to the house. I don't know. But they're just getting destroyed, and I'm losing a ton of money. And I don't like customers being upset, and I don't like any of that interaction. And it's just not something I want to deal with. So with that, I have spent a ton of money getting these pre-made shipping boxes here. I don't know if it's probably dark. These pre-made foam boxes that are just, you know, they're cool, but they're, like I said, they're super expensive. So I got a bunch of those, and I've been shipping coral over the last couple weeks with them with very minimal issues. I really haven't had anybody say anything, except for one guy. But that was a whole other thing. So anyways, yeah, there hasn't really been any issues. I do like it, but unfortunately, those are extremely expensive. So that means basically I have to make up for that price somewhere else. So after this sale is done at the end of the month, my coral prices are going back to retail. I try to keep them under retail as much as possible. I try to do these mass bulk deals, and that stuff will happen periodically in the future, but it's not going to be a continuous thing like I have going on over the last couple years. Just because now the overhead, like between ice packs and these boxes, I mean, you just added $20 more to the order for no reason, right? So it's things like that that I try to avoid, and I've been trying to make boxes because then I can keep everything cheaper on the end. I like to reuse boxes. I try to pass that savings on to the customers, but it's not working out that way, and people aren't happy about it. And yeah, so I'm making those changes, and it's working out good so far. It's just unfortunately it's got to be made up somewhere else, and that's just going to be in the coral prices again after the sale. So if you want coral at a cheap discount, you got to get it now. Again, September 1st, they're all going back to normal, and they're just not changing unless outside maybe like a Black Friday or something like that, or a 4th of July, or, you know, my usual sales that I do every once in a while. So yeah, hopefully no one's upset about that. Hopefully everybody understands from a business perspective kind of how that has to happen. I try to make everybody as happy as possible, but one thing you'll learn on YouTube and on sales and the internet and everything over the last, 10 years of doing all this stuff, you can't make everybody happy, and some people just hate you for breathing, and it happens, right? So anyways, enough of that. Let's move on. So frag tanks here, you guys were asking me if I'm going to keep the low boys. Absolutely not. I do plan on dropping these off a cliff at some point. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just going to dump these. I don't know. This one back here has got a small, I think it might be the seal on the bulkhead that might be leaking. I can't get back there and see if it's cracked, but it's got a small, tiny little salt creep deal-a-majigger. It's not dripping or anything. So I don't know. I won't know until I take it apart. But if anybody wants, I guess if you want these when I'm done, let me know. That basically will be free at this point. You can't have the lights though. You can't have the lights. Those are going on a new setup. But other than that, I'm just going to toss them. I'm moving on to tubs. No more. I just can't do the low boys anymore. I can't get enough flow. I can't get the racks the way I want them. I can't put big enough fish in there that make me happy. I just don't, I don't like them. They're not deep enough, and they're super brittle. You guys know that I broke several of them over the past few years. And yeah, just not doing it anymore. But other than that, I got a ton of coral. And that's another thing. There's going to be a lot of corals that will not be in the new setup. So the new 700 and the tubs that are going to be connected to it, it's only SPS. So like we have the Goniapora here, I haven't put these up yet, these are going to be WYSIWYGs later on, but like the Acans and just the Zoas and all this stuff, like that's not coming into the new setup. There's not going to be any of that stuff in the new setup, just because I don't particularly like growing that. Prime example here. So I had some really nice colonies. This used to be beautiful, vibrant color. It's like a purplish color. Now it's basically white and shit dead. Because look at all those Zoas. Yeah, the Rasta Zoas. They're great, right? One day, one of the fish must have picked up a frag and put it on this colony or something. Somehow a piece of a Zoa got there and it just kills everything. So I don't want that to happen in the new setup. So yeah, those corals are not going to be part of the setup. And yeah, so it just kind of is what it is. This is the colony I broke off this morning trying to mess around with it. I got a bunch of mushrooms. There's a lot of stuff in here that's not currently for sale because I'm just going to wait to the move to do some WYSIWYGs because I don't have the room in here to do WYSIWYGs the way I want to now. Like there's a bunch of Zoas that will be up in the future after we move. But yeah, that's about it. So I don't know. This video is long. It's 11 minutes. I rambled about a bunch of stuff. Hopefully it all makes sense. If you guys, if you have any questions or any suggestions or anything, let me know. Now, one thing, actually, I will say this now. I will probably need some help moving this tank. It will be some weekend in October, probably a Sunday at some point, or a Saturday, depending on kind of how the schedules line up. I'll need probably 15 dudes to come over, want to help me move this stuff onto a U-Haul, and then I'm gonna make you guys. I got a new smoker. I got a whole bunch of stuff, so I'll make some ribs and all sorts of stuff. We'll do like a cookout at the new place. So if you are interested in helping out, I live in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I'm moving to Carlisle, so if you are interested, go ahead and email me fishofhex@gmail.com if you want to help out that day. I'm not expecting you to come in here and pick this tank up by yourself. Any help is better than no help. And yeah, we'll have a little barbecue and you guys can check out the fish building before it becomes a fish building. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody's support. If you have any questions, again, let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Peace.